feeling low. Hello, my lemon heads, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Brianna, and today is a very special video. Today, we've got a story time video, and I'm going to be telling you guys the story of what happened when I received a cease and desist from top Beachbody coach Melissa McAllister. And I will also be reading the entire document. Before we proceed, if you love science-based health, wellness, and fitness education, and some snark and the occasional story time, why not hit that subscribe button and join the lemonade stand? I would really love to have you here. All right, without further ado, let's make lemonade, you filthy animals. I almost just sat down to start filming this, and I realized I didn't even have a beverage. Who am I? I guess for those of you who aren't aware, I guess I should start off by saying who Melissa McAllister is. I shouldn't assume that everybody just knows who people are. Melissa McAllister is a top 10 elite Beachbody consultant. For those of you who are unaware, Beachbody LLC is a multi-level marketing company here in the United States. Because of its multi-level business structure, Beachbody has tiers and rank structure. So just like most other recruitment-based multi-level marketing companies, higher rank pretty much just means that you have a larger downline. And so the fact that she's been a top 10 elite person, elite coach, it's basically just it just means that she's like at the top of her, you know, triangle. I know she was voted elite in like 2015, 2017, 2020. I think this past year in 2021, yes, because it's 2022 right now. There was more years, I think, but I don't really care to find out every single one. Just know that it's been a bunch of times. In case you were wondering what it means to be a top 10 elite Beachbody coach, I didn't know either. Let's read it from beachbody.com. When you achieve Team Beachbody Elite, you are part of Team Beachbody's creme de la creme. Elite coaches build outstanding, stable organizations, generate significant volume, and lead by example. And for reaching the upper echelon of coaches, you'll earn VIP status and amazing rewards. Why they had to reference creme de la creme, I don't know, and I'm sorry that you all just had to hear me read that. Being that she is an elite coach and has achieved a very high rank, she's frequently spoken at Beachbody events called Summit, which is a big annual, I'm pretty sure it's annual, convention. Most of the consultants who are in Beachbody are at the coach rank, which is the lowest tier. They come and spend money that most of them probably don't have. They listen to personal development experts. Somebody spouts off cliched blurbs of motivation, how to build your business, blah, 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 things like that. The very first video that I featured Melissa in was a while ago. Like, I'm looking at a calendar. Like over a year and a half ago, probably. My editing and video production has just had such a glow up since then. I made a video specifically about her talking about like some of her certifications and some of her credentials and things like that. I just made some comments and expressed some opinions. I also shared some facts about some of her nutrition certs and things like that. And then there was another video a few months after that, in which that one was an MLM top fill. That whole video wasn't about her. It was a small segment. She misidentified type 1 versus type 2 diabetes. Okay, love that. And I just pointed that out in that video because I think it's very dangerous for somebody who's not a healthcare professional to be sharing inaccurate information like that. And that basically summed up the video.
Good morning. So for my type 2 insulin dependent people that would love to get off that medication, there are natural ways that you can help along the way. So there's something called cinnamotannins, and it's what's in cinnamon that gives it that reddish color, and that actually acts as a mimic for insulin. So if you incorporate cinnamon in your meals, maybe have some cinnamon tea, or you can actually get organic cinnamon capsules. So after your meal, you can take a little bit of the cinnamon oil. It helps slow down carbohydrates turning into sugar, which lessens the load of your body needing insulin, which is huge for creating that insulin sensitivity. I'll show you a picture of I just went and looked of maybe a cinnamon oil that you could consider. It was only like $17, but something like that after a large meal, so good.
So Melissa wasn't necessarily wrong in the information she was delivering about the cinnamon and blood sugar, and I actually cited a source from, I believe it was the American Diabetes Association, directly from their website that actually did support what you were saying. But the monumental issue and monumental fail here, which is what I had to call attention to, because it's a pretty big mistake, especially in regard to healthcare. She specifically said insulin-dependent type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is not the one that's referred to as insulin-dependent diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is referred to as insulin-resistant diabetes, and type 1 diabetes is what's referred to as insulin-dependent diabetes. I mean, I'm not going to go into it all right now, but that's obviously quite a monumental mistake to make if you're giving somebody advice on diabetes care. If you go to the doctor for like your type 1 insulin dependent diabetes, and your doctor told you that could result in you not having a very good time and getting seriously injured. So that's the main thing I called attention to in that video, is her misidentifying type 1 versus type 2 diabetes, because that is a mistake that can be very, very dangerous. Those two don't have a lot of views because, again, those were kind of when I was gaining more traction on YouTube. So anyway, that's who Melissa is, and that's kind of my history with Melissa. And then you've also probably seen her in more videos because she has been in more videos. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. So I guess we should get to the story time. So about a year ago, I was at home minding my own business, watching TV with my dogs, when somebody that I did not know rang on my doorbell. I didn't know who this person was and what they wanted. I don't know if everybody else is like this, but I'm the person who, if I don't know you, and if you were not invited over to my home, I'm not answering the door. The only exceptions are like probably if it's like cops or something. But like this person just looked like a regular person dressed in regular person clothes. I didn't know them. We unfortunately have a lot of solicitors in our neighborhood, so I thought that's what it was. And I hid in the house until they walked away. Maybe it's all the true crime I watch. Maybe I'm just paranoid. If you knock on my door and I don't know you, I'm going to stare through the peephole and let your happy ass stand there until you walk away. After they walked away, I just go back to doing whatever I was doing, watching TV. Later that day, my husband comes home and he had come in through the front door. And on the front door, there was a door hanger, and he said, "Hey, did you see this?" I didn't see it because I hadn't opened the door at all. There was just a door hanger that basically said, "A process server came to your house. This person has to give you a legal document, blah, blah, blah." I was a little bit freaked out and a little bit confused because I was like, what could this possibly be about? Then I was like, okay, wait a minute. Hang on. Who did I piss off? I think I remember texting my mom in that moment and just kind of like half sarcastically texting my mom, "Oh my God, somebody's gonna steal me. Oh my God." Now, some of you may be wondering, why of all people would you call your mom Brianna? What's your mom gonna do? Especially because my parents don't even live in America. Well, Karen, that's because my mommy is actually a lawyer. I mean, she can't be my lawyer, but whenever I have legal questions, she's my number one point of contact. Because she's free. Yes, my mom really is a lawyer. I think I've only mentioned that a couple times on my channel because why would I bring it up all the time? Because it's not relevant. My mom hasn't practiced law for a very long time because, again, my parents don't live in America. But my mom actually maintains her legal license to practice. The kind of law that she did was like family stuff, taking kids out of bad situations. She worked with CPS a lot, kind of heavy stuff like that. But regardless of that, I have a parent who's been to law school and has practiced as an attorney. When I have a legal question, why wouldn't you ask them? So anyway, I call my mom and I'm like, "Oh my God, Mom, oh my God, somebody's gonna sue me, oh my God," or whatever I said. I don't think those are my words. She was like, "Calm down, you haven't even gotten anything yet. Anybody can get a lawyer to send anybody a letter, relax." She was like, "They have to serve you the documents directly in your hand. It can't be a thing where they like leave it in the mailbox or they like give it to my husband to give to me. They have to put it directly in my hand. So because they have to give it to you directly, somebody will come back, and then when somebody comes back, you scan it and send it to me, and then I'll look at it. In the meantime, relax." So that was really that for that day. The next day or the day after, I really don't remember. This was over a year ago. My husband got a call from somebody he didn't know, and he didn't know what it was about, so he was just trying to like rush the person off the phone. He was just kind of like, "I don't know who this is. I don't know what this is about or what you want. Why are you calling me?" sort of thing. And he just kind of got the person off the phone. He told me what happened after, and I kind of figured it was about the situation. So I called the callback number again that was like on the door hanger. The person on the phone was like, "Yeah, it's me. I'm looking for you because I gotta give you these things." And I was like, "Okay." And I told him to come on over, and I sat outside because I was like, "Please, for the love of God, don't ring my doorbell. I have 3 fucking dogs." I sit outside. A few minutes later, a super nice process server, whose business card I still have, gave me where is it? Gave me this delightful legal document. I think this was a Saturday. I think it was a weekend. Pretty sure it was. Later that day, I'm reading this document, and I feel like, you know, in a situation like this, especially when you've never been in it before, I feel like being a little bit anxious is normal. But my husband, the whole time, was just laughing hysterically, and I was like, babe, this is super serious. Why are you laughing so much? He was ridiculous. He was just like, I'm just surprised that somebody was actually like that triggered enough to actually do that. So basically in the letter, which I will read in a minute, I was being accused of making defamatory statements about Miss McAllister. I think something that is important to do right now that would be good just for like the sake of education is get a definition of what defamation means, because a lot of people don't know what it is and it really shows. So from the website alllaw.com, defamation is typically defined as a false statement someone makes about you, which they publish as a statement of fact and which harms your personal and or professional reputation or causes you other damages, including financial loss and emotional distress. A statement that is merely someone's opinion is not defamatory unless it is presented as if it were a fact. If someone writes, "It seems to me that John Smith is a crooked politician," that most likely is protected opinion. Courts do not want to hinder public speech, even about controversial subjects, so opinions generally are protected speech. Interesting. However, if the statement is John Smith is a crooked politician and it is not a true statement, it may be defamatory. It is a fine distinction to bear in mind, but an important one. So I guess you guys probably want to know what this letter says. So let's read the damn thing. It's long, so get comfy. Grab your detox water. Oh, by the way, I just want to say, they took screenshots. I mean, I assume they took screenshots, like, of my videos and printed them off and put them in the letter. And this is probably the worst photocopy job I've ever seen in my entire life. But, I don't know, maybe I'm just being nitpicky. I'm really not going to be doing a whole lot as far as defending myself. I've already done that with the help of my legal team. I'm not going to be adding that much more as I read the letter. Of course, I'll add in some tidbits in my remarks here and there. So right now, I guess just consider this, me reading this as purely entertainment. I feel like I'm the teacher and I'm about to read you guys like a cute little book. I'm also not going to disclose like where this, you know, like the law firm that sent this and like the lawyer was representing Miss McAllister too. Okay, at the top, request for correction, clarification, or retraction of online defamatory statements. Dear Miss Pena. They didn't put the tilde over the N, so it says Pena. So I'm just reading it how it's pronounced. I write as legal counsel for Miss McAllister, who has been the subject and target of several defamatory statements you publish on your Instagram page under your handle Brianna.Jewel and your YouTube channel Brianna Jewel. Pursuant to Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code 73.055D, Miss McAllister hereby submits the following request for correction, clarification, or retraction. This request is a prerequisite to filing a lawsuit against you for defamation. This request is served on the publisher of the defamatory statement, Brianna Pena, aka Brianna Jewel. This request is made in writing, is made by Miss McAllister, and is signed by the authorized attorney or agent of Miss McAllister. The statements alleged to be false and defamatory consist of several statements that you published online on your YouTube channel on November 9th, 2020. Damn, that was a long time ago at this point. And are contained in the following video titled, "This Speech Body Coach Hates Gluten and Says You Should Too. Anti-MLM." Then they put the link. This video has a defamatory meaning and implication that Miss McAllister is not a real beach body or nutritional coach, is tied to an illegal pyramid scheme by working for Beachbody, lacks the necessary credentials to give nutritional advice, and is thereby violating the law and the nutritional advice she gives, the company she works for, and the Beachbody products she sells and/or promotes. The nature of the video thereby falsely imputes criminality to Miss McAllister and attacks her professional credentials. In this video, okay, we're about to get into the statements. In this video, you make the following statements in relation to Miss McAllister's credentials and experience in her profession. 1. That Miss McAllister does not have any professional credentials. She doesn't. She's not a registered dietitian. She's not a certified nutrition specialist. She's not a medical doctor. And actually, Melissa McAllister did not complete college. I know this because she told me directly, and it is indicated on her public LinkedIn profile. 2, that Miss McAllister does not have a background or education in food science. 3, that Miss McAllister is not a health coach. What's funny is I never even said those words. And even my lawyer was like, I don't even know where they're getting that. I never said that. 4, that Miss McAllister is part of a pyramid scheme with Beachbody. I never said those words either. On my channel, I have never said that blank multi-level marketing company is a pyramid scheme. I've never said that. I believe my exact words were actually, Beachbody is one of several MLMs just like it that is predatory, has a pyramid scheme type business model, because it's pretty clearly indicated that they do. In the Federal Trade Commission in the United States even compares multi-level marketing companies to illegal pyramid schemes. That's why if you go to FTC, if you go to the consumer page, they put multi-level marketing business structure and pyramid schemes under the same category. But I didn't say that Melissa McAllister is in a pyramid scheme. Those weren't my words at all. Miss McAllister is engaging in selling products that are, quote, dangerous, not FDA regulated, and not proven by science to be safe or healthy for our use, end quote. I guess they quoted me there, and that statement wasn't even targeted at her. They push products that are dangerous, not FDA regulated, and not proven by science to be safe or healthy for our use. And also on top of that, last I checked, Shakeology was a dietary supplement. Dietary supplements do not have to go through official FDA approval before they are marketed to the public. You can just make a dietary supplement and just put it out there. The FDA actually doesn't like have an official like review or testing of the supplement, and Shakeology is a dietary supplement. And again, that statement wasn't even targeted directly at Melissa. So 6, that Miss McAllister is, quote, walking a fine line in terms of legality, end quote, in offering nutritional advice. Okay, I mean, okay. You are, though. I say this so often, I'm getting tired of saying it. In the United States, let's just talk about the state of Texas, because I'm in Texas and Melissa's in Texas too. Everybody lives in Texas now. In the state of Texas, the title of registered dietitian is a protected one. I believe CNS is as well, a certified nutrition specialist, and those are the two nutrition credentials that require higher education. And those are the two credentials that, if you ask most people in healthcare, would qualify somebody to be a nutrition expert. And in a lot of states, the practice of medical nutrition therapy, using nutrition to treat a medical condition, I don't know, like type 1 or type 2 diabetes, the practice of that is limited only to registered dietitians, which Melissa is not. The video also indisputably identifies Miss McAllister due to showing Miss McAllister's Instagram page, several of her blog articles, and Miss McAllister's face in several instances where the video does not blur out Miss McAllister's identity. These publications are false, defamatory, and have caused Miss McAllister damage to her reputation. So this is the part of the video where I pander to the members of the audience who have already commented something along the lines of, just because you go to school doesn't mean you know more. First of all, that's exactly what it means. If you honestly believe that education doesn't matter, then why do you go to the doctor if you're having a medical issue? Why do you go to a mechanic when you need your car serviced? Why do you hire a lawyer if a Beachbody coach threatens to sue you? Probably because you need their expertise and you do not have the level of education required to take care of business on your own, right? Let's also get my opinions about this topic out of the way and stated right now. The narrative that you need to go to college to be worth anything is dying, and personally, I'm glad. It's a ridiculous ideology because it puts people who choose to discontinue college or bypass it entirely at a lower status, and I think that's untrue, and it's also unfair. Just because you attend university doesn't make you a better human. Higher education's not necessary, and college is just not for everyone, and I think that's okay. There's plenty of career paths that don't require college or require very little college education. That being said, I do think that we should not bash people who decide to go for higher education. Some people need college for their career path they're pursuing, and some people just like learning. If someone has the time and money to earn a PhD in quantum physics, then I say good for them. I would also say that absolutely makes them more knowledgeable about the subject than a flat earther who got their education from Google. So obviously, you don't need to be college educated for every career. I think those of us who are level-headed and forward-thinking adults know that, but obviously this depends on the career. For just about every healthcare career, you actually need to be college educated and/or you need proper training. For example, physicians have to go to college, nurses have to go to college, physical therapists have to go to college, Registered dietitians have to go to college. Would you go to a neurosurgeon who dropped out of medical school? Would you work with a physical therapist who only has a random online unaccredited certification? Would you listen to a registered dietitian who took an 8-week online nutrition course? Would you hire a lawyer who didn't go to law school to defend you if you've been falsely accused of murder? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then all I have to say to you is natural selection is coming in hot for you. Also, I'm pretty sure in all these situations it would be illegal for these people to practice anyway, but you get my point. So why do I say all this? Well, because as I stated, Melissa McAllister did not finish college, and she does not have an accredited educational background from an accredited institution in the United States in nutrition that would qualify her as a nutrition expert or a nutrition professional. But that doesn't stop her from sharing very sensitive information that could strongly impact someone's health and well-being should they take that advice. For example, like mixing up type 1 versus type 2 diabetes. Yes, I will go to my grave being triggered about that. And telling insulin-dependent diabetics type 1 diabetes that cinnamon could potentially help them get off of their insulin. FYI, insulin-dependent diabetics will die without insulin. These are facts. It's not a matter of supplements or gut health or balancing hormones. A type 1 diabetic does not have a working pancreas, and no amount of cinnamon will fix that. These are facts. So a lot of people who follow Melissa and are fans of her, who are maybe hate watching this video and have already left the comment, well, just because she didn't finish school doesn't mean she doesn't know what she's talking about. This is for you. Spreading misinformation regarding health sciences, including nutrition science and food science, can potentially harm people and lead them astray, and it's also just not helpful, in my opinion. So just to talk about a couple of Melissa's quote-unquote credentials, I'm about to go apeshit with the quote-unquotes, by the way, just so you guys know. Here are some examples that sent me down a rabbit hole that I am quite frankly still at. Now, if Melissa has a secret degree, then that's really cool, but I'm not aware of it. I'm just working off of the information that she chooses to provide on her social media profiles. In her Instagram bio, it says that she is a quote-unquote board-certified nutritionist. First of all, the state of Texas does not regulate the title of nutritionist. Absolutely anyone can call themselves a nutritionist, and unfortunately, it's like that in most U.S. states. There's no licensing board or regulatory body that oversees the title of nutritionist in Texas. Continuing to build on her quote-unquote board certification, check out this photo she posted to an Instagram highlight. According to this, she is a quote board-certified holistic health practitioner, end quote, by this agency, the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. I guess this is the letter that they sent her granting her board certification. It's not an actual certificate. I also noticed that they spelled her name wrong, so, you know, that's something. I'm pretty sure McAllister has 2 L's in it. I know that because I spent a very long time poring over legal documents with her name all over them. Anyway, so about the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, which I will be calling the AADP henceforth. I typed this organization in Google, and some things that came up about them were alarming. There was a case back in 2007 in which an 18-year-old named Sean, who was dying of cancer, his parents brought him to a man named Dr. Brian O'Connell, who was not a physician, but instead some naturopath woo-woo quote-unquote doctor who treated Sean and basically hastened his death. O'Connell was later sentenced to 13 years in prison after he was convicted of practicing medicine without a license and, after the death of Sean, negligent homicide. The article, which I will link below, did not explicitly say that this O'Connell guy, who's out of prison now, by the way, had this certification, quote unquote, from the AADP, but they mentioned the AADP because it's one of many online education, quote unquote, agencies that basically gives out degrees and certificates like Halloween candy. Well, you have to send them a check first. The AADP is operated out of Galveston, Texas by a man named Donald Rosenthal. To become a member of the AADP, all you have to do is fill out an online application, pay the fee, which is about $200-something, and then give them a photo of your driver's license. I checked out the website myself, and they also ask about whatever current certifications or education you might have too. No college degree required, by the way. So because of this, I'm inclined to believe that all Melissa did to get this letter saying that she was quote-unquote board certified is fill out the online application. She probably used her experience in like other random certifications that she has, and then paid the application fee. So at this point, I was down the rabbit hole, and there was no turning back, so I continued researching the AADP. From what I found, several online publications, which I'll link a few below, consider them to be a fraudulent diploma mill and accreditation mill, and therefore they are believed to be totally illegitimate. To those of you who don't know, diploma mills and accreditation mills, basically a situation situation where you just write a check and you get sent a basically whatever degree of your choice, from an associate's degree all the way up to a PhD. This is 100% legal in the United States. So more research on the AADP, and I found out more quite damning information. Have you guys ever heard of that kid, Malachi Love Robinson? I'm calling him a kid, but he's an adult now. But at the time of this incident, he was a teenager. I think like somewhere between 17 and 19 years old. I know, not a child, but I'm 30 years old, and I think everyone who's under the age of 25 is a kid. Call a cop. It was in Florida back in like 2015 or 2016, and he impersonated a doctor and started his own quote-unquote medical practice. One of his quote-unquote board certifications was from none other than the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, the AADP. According to court documents, Malachi Love Robinson submitted fraudulent documentation, including those from Arizona State University. This kid sent the AADP fraudulent documents and was then given board certification from them. The AADP only rescinded his quote-unquote board certification after the jig was up, and the investigator, whose name was Carla Sutherland, contacted Donald Rosenthal. All of this is enough evidence to me and makes me feel confident in declaring my opinion that Melissa McAllister's quote-unquote board certification from the AADP is in fact a big, hot, steaming pile of baloney and has absolutely zero validity or legitimacy. And that's my opinion based on the evidence. Thank you so much. My husband is in the room staring at me right now.
It's a bologna sandwich!
Stop it. On another note, this gave me an idea for a video series. You guys know I'm a true crime junkie, and I also obviously love diving into science and health-related scams and things like that. How about a series where true crime meets like science and health? I would dive into healthcare professionals who turned out to be frauds, people who faked illnesses like cancer to gain money and recognition. This really got the creative juices flowing. You guys let me know how you feel about that. All right. Back to you, Brie. Next page. Additionally, the statements that you published online in your Instagram story, by the way, it's an Instagram story, so it's gone after 24 hours. By the time I got this, it was long since gone, just so everybody knows, are contained in the following screenshot, which I can honestly barely read it on this because the photocopy job is so bad. I'll put it on the screen. Your Instagram story includes the following statements: that Miss McAllister does not have an education or credentials. It doesn't have that statement. And 2, that Miss McAllister is hurting people by giving out bad nutritional information regarding cinnamon helping people get off their insulin. Oh yeah, that was when I featured her in that MLM Top Fails. My legal team determined that this is not defamatory. This is true. Bad nutrition advice does hurt people, so it's not defamatory. These statements identify Miss McAllister as a, quote, a certain beach body coach, end quote, in your recent YouTube video previously referenced in this letter. These publications are false. Oh, I think this might be out of order. I'll just keep reading. These publications are false, defamatory, and have also caused Miss McAllister damage to her reputation. Lastly, a second YouTube video on your channel titled MLM Top Health Fails #1. Oh, it was #1! Yay! Do not listen to these people. Anti-MLM. January 22nd, 2021. No, that one was over a year ago too. Okay, we're almost done here. This is the last page. This video contains the following false statements: that Miss McAllister does not have any credentials. You're not an RD. You're not a CNS. You're not a medical doctor. She didn't even graduate college. The credentials she does have for NTP, the Nutritional Therapy Practitioner, is from a small vocational school in Washington State. It is not accredited by the United States Department of Education, and the only requirements for taking that, the NTP certification, is internet connection and a high school diploma. That Miss McAllister's advice will, quote, get someone killed, end quote. I remember what I was referring to. I was referring to how she mixed up type 1 versus type 2 diabetes. 3, that Miss McAllister is being, quote, reckless in sharing this information. Clearly my opinion, so that's not defamatory. How do you even prove that? 4, that Miss McAllister, as a beach body coach, is scamming and taking advantage of people. I did say something like that, but the statement was not even directed at her. Remember, it was at the end of the video, and I said, MLM coaches, please stop scamming people and taking advantage of people. That's what I said. I said something to that effect. These statements identify Miss McAllister as, quote, the beach body coach who hates gluten. End quote. From your previous video. Like above, these statements are also false, defamatory, and causing harm to Miss McAllister's reputation. These videos, Instagram story, and the statements contained therein are defamatory because they injure Miss McAllister's reputation and thereby exposes Miss McAllister to public hatred, contempt, sorry, this is serious, ridicule, or financial injury, impeach Miss McAllister's honesty, integrity, virtue, and reputation, accuse Miss McAllister of committing a crime, and injure Miss McAllister in her occupation or profession. These written statements constitute libel per se as defined by Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code 73.001 because these statements injure Miss McAllister's reputation and thereby expose Miss McAllister to public hatred, contempt, or ridicule or financial injury. They also impeach Miss... They're just repeating themselves. Okay. Sorry, I haven't read this in like 6 months. Impeach Miss McAllister's honesty, integrity, virtue, or reputation. These written and published video statements constitute defamation per se under the common law because the statements accuse Miss McAllister of committing a crime and injure Miss McAllister in her profession or occupation. I don't think you said Miss McAllister enough in that one. Why don't we have 5 more? Pursuant to Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code 73.055, by sending this request for correction, clarification, or retraction, Miss McAllister may maintain an action for defamation against you. Further, pursuant to Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code 73.059, if you do not make a sufficient correction, clarification, or retraction within 30 days after receipt of this letter, Miss McAllister will be entitled to seek exemplary damages from you. Miss McAllister will also be entitled to seek exemplary damages from you even if you make a sufficient correction, clarification, or retraction within 30 days after receipt of this letter if she proves that you made the defamatory statements with actual malice. That's another interesting aspect. She would have to prove that I made the statements maliciously, which is difficult for her to do because Melissa McAllister is a public figure. You don't believe me? She was on a billboard in Times Square here. I don't think they just put anybody on a billboard in Times Square. I've never been on the billboard in Times Square. You may have been previously unaware of the magnitude of the situation, but Miss McAllister is requesting your immediate attention to this matter due to the damaging nature of your statements. If anything in this letter is unclear or you would like to discuss further, please feel free to call our firm at, and then they have their phone number, and then sincerely her lawyer's name, attorney for Melissa McAllister. So there it is, guys. Signed, sealed, delivered. Literally. That is a cease and desist that I received from Melissa McAllister's legal team on behalf of Melissa McAllister. So what happened next? So as I mentioned before, my mom was like, after you get it, let me see it. So I had sent it to her just so she could like read it for me and translate all the legal mumbo jumbo for me. And by the way, this was before I contacted like my actual lawyer that I ended up like working with for this situation. My mom was not acting as my lawyer. She is a parent who was being supportive, who also happens to be a legal professional. So all she was doing was just helping me kind of interpret the situation and just kind of make sense of everything. So I sent it to my mom and she's like, this isn't ordering you to do anything. It's really just a threat at this point. She basically just told me the next steps are for you to find a lawyer and just talk to a lawyer because you might not even need to do anything. You need to talk to a lawyer that specializes in this kind of thing. So that's what I did. So enter my lawyer, whose name I will not be disclosing. What's funny is my attorney actually specializes in like social media, which is so interesting because in my brain, lawyers are either my mom or Thomas J. Henry. I didn't know that lawyers actually, it's crazy that a lawyer can actually specialize in something like this. That was one of the many new things that I learned in this situation. So I found my lawyer that I wanted to work with. I had a consultation with her. I sent her the letter. She reviewed everything. And her professional opinion was that I was well within my rights to say everything I said. From this point, the ball was kind of in my court. And by that, I don't necessarily mean I had any sort of advantage. I just mean that the next steps were kind of up to me. I could have done nothing and just ignored it, or I could have my lawyer like draft up a response letter and we could actually respond directly to them. It was really up to me. I had no legal obligation to do anything at that point, really. Obviously, this situation, being in any sort of legal situation I feel like for most average people, because I'm just a regular old schmuck and so are all you filthy animals watching this. I feel like for most people, it can be a pretty stressful situation because just like you don't know what's gonna happen. But I had a lot of support from my husband and my parents, which I know to a lot of you it seems obvious, like, well, duh, your parents support you. But you guys need to understand that my parents are very rational and level-headed people. If I was wrong about anything, my parents would put me in my place. That's just how I was raised. I wasn't raised to deflect blame and call everybody a hater every time I get criticized. But my parents were like, I mean, we have to listen to the professional advice of your lawyer, and if your lawyer doesn't believe that you did anything wrong, then we support you. And then my husband would support me if I wanted to rob a bank. Anyway, during one of the several thousand rants I randomly went on throughout this time, I was talking to my parents and my mom gave me some really sound advice. She said, this person, who you don't even know, by the way, is threatening your livelihood. Because this was all, and I didn't say this before, this was all happening when I had actually just quit my job working at a local gym. My last day at my job was like on a Wednesday or Thursday, and I got served with the cease and desist on like the day after, like Friday. I'm not even joking. So I was at a time when I was shifting to like, I'm going to start my own training business. I'm going to shift to doing YouTube full time. So at that time, it felt really frustrating too, because I was like, it's kind of hard to be excited about going off to do my own thing, and then some shit like this happens and now I have to deal with it. It was very annoying. So yeah, when my mom used the word livelihood, I mean, it quite literally is my livelihood. This is my primary source of income now. She said, don't let somebody threaten your livelihood like this. This person probably thinks that they're bigger than you and probably thinks very little of you. And she's trying to intimidate you because she probably thinks she can scare you into silence. She probably assumes that you don't have the resources, legal, monetary, whatever, to fight back. I'm paraphrasing my mom here. If you made any mistakes, did anything wrong, own your shit and do what you have to do. Otherwise, and this is a direct quote, do not concede if you don't have to, and don't let people like her push you around. End quote. I had multiple pivotal moments throughout this ordeal, and that was definitely one of them. My mom is a very wise woman. There was another time where I can remember working myself. I worked myself into just like a fit of rage and frustration over this, totally random. And the anger was coming from, this is wasting my time. And I was just so frustrated. I was annoyed. I was anxious, all the things. And I'm venting to my husband about all this for the millionth time. He is the real MVP too for putting up with me throughout all of this. And he finally is like, babe, listen, your feelings are valid and important, but by allowing this situation to affect you in this way, that you're giving her what she wants. And I was like, oh, goddamn. You're not just a trophy husband with a nice ass. He was right. So what next? So after talking to a couple of legal professionals, I talked to more than one, and doing my own individual research, I decided I was going to fight back. I don't feel like it was a fight, but respond, you know what I mean. Something that I bet little Miss Melissa probably wasn't expecting me to do. So it was then I asked my lawyer to draft up a response letter to go back to them. I'm not going to read the entire thing because this is going to be a long video, and I have to leave in like 30 minutes. But something that I will do is I'll read like the intro of it because I just think it's really good. Request for correction, clarification, or retraction of online defamatory statements. Dear Miss Melissa's lawyer, I write in response to your letter dated March 9th, 2021, sent on behalf of Miss Melissa McAllister regarding alleged online defamatory content created by my client, Miss Brianna Pena, aka Brianna Jewel. Respectfully, for the reasons outlined in this letter, Miss Pena denies that she has made any defamatory statements of and concerning Miss McAllister. Miss Pena counters that the statements made are not defamatory because all of the statements are true or substantially true, commentary and opinion, and or protected by the First Amendment and Article 1, Section 8 of the Texas State Constitution as communications made with a matter of public concern related to a public figure and a subject of interest to the community. Since several specific incidents of alleged defamation were stated in your letter, I will address Ms. Penny's defense to each and correct the wording of the alleged statements which were misrepresented and taken out of context in your previous letter. And then she goes on to take every single, she pretty much went line by line, every single alleged Onyx, what are you doing? Every single alleged defamatory statement, she basically just went line by line and was like, actually, this is not defamation because of this. She did the law thing. She did what she had to do. Everything that they said that I said was either completely misinterpreted and taken out of context, or there was the case of that one of the statements, I never even said those words at all. So it became obvious that they they, being Melissa and / or her lawyer, probably just heard, this is what I think, they probably just heard what they wanted to hear to try and build a compelling argument against me. After all of this was said and done, I was very frustrated because I honestly felt like this is such a joke. Some of these things weren't even directed at her. One of these things I never even said. Like, you're saying that I said things that I didn't say, and you say you're gonna sue me over these things that I didn't even say. I think that's why it frustrated me so much. Like, this is stupid. To this day, I'm still baffled that a legal professional would, like, write down that someone made statements with the knowledge that that person didn't make those statements. You know, for example, I think the one that I never said was Miss Melissa McAllister's not a health coach. I never said that at all. Ever. It's just wild to me that a lawyer would, like, write that down and say, you made this statement, but, like, no, I didn't. Effectively putting words in my mouth. It's still so crazy to me. Although, and my mom said this to me while I was ranting, she was like, it seems crazy to you and it seems ridiculous, but you have to understand that they're just being a lawyer. Their job is to defend their client, and that's what her lawyer's doing. So, when my lawyer sent Melissa's lawyer our response letter, I believe Melissa was in St. Lucia with her daughter, which, girl, treat yourself. It is not easy kicking back and collecting all those team cycle bonuses. They got the letter, and then a few days later, her lawyer wanted to talk with my lawyer. When my lawyer told me that her lawyer wanted to talk, I remember feeling so incredibly annoyed. Like, really annoyed. My first thought was, oh my God, get over it. Because at this point in time, I think it had been well over a month since I had actually was served with a cease and desist from her. And at this point, the situation was just becoming a huge annoyance in my life. And I was honestly just really tired of dealing with it. So after the chat between our lawyers, which I was not present for, but I know what was said because my lawyer told me, basically, and this is my lawyer coming back and relaying the details of their conversation back to me. Basically, the implication was I should remove the content in question, or else there would be a formal lawsuit filed against me. And I should also maybe not talk about, I'm paraphrasing a lot here, and I should also maybe not talk about Melissa ever again. So with that information, the choice was kind of, again, really up to me as far as, like, what I wanted to do next. Let my content remain online and risk being sued, or give in to their demands and remove my content. I spoke to my lawyer. I did my own research. I kind of gathered advice from the High Council. That's my parents. And I also even had the opportunity to speak with another lawyer who is a litigator and has experience in defamation lawsuits. And I got some great information about what the most realistic outcome would be if they actually filed a lawsuit against me. Yeah, I mean, so this is research and self-reflection and things like that. Ultimately, I made the decision that I was not going to remove my content and go on about my business. So I let my lawyer know that, and after that, it was really just a waiting game. Since I decided not to remove any of my content, I was expecting a formal lawsuit to be filed against me, because that's kind of what was implied. So at that point, there was really nothing left for me to do but just continue living my life and just wait. So I waited. And waited. And waited. So fast forward to present day. Over a year since all of this has transpired. The videos that Melissa was threatening to sue me for are both still up and active on my channel. Well, hang on. The Instagram story is down. It's not up anymore, so guess she wins. It's been over 1 year since I was served a cease and desist from Melissa McAllister's legal team, and I never had a formal lawsuit filed against me. And at this point, for the content in that letter, she cannot sue me for it anymore because the statute of limitations has expired. In the state of Texas, there is a statute of limitations for filing a defamation lawsuit against somebody. And that is 1 year from the date that the alleged defamatory content was published. I read the dates in there. One of them I think was November 9th and the other one was January 22nd. And the statute has long since expired for both of those. It's been well over a year since both of those videos went up. Now, that doesn't mean she can't sue me for anything ever again. For those of you who don't live in the United States, we're very sue happy here, especially people who have a lot of money and really big egos. So if you've been a subscriber over the last, year and a half, I mean, you've seen her before. She still pops up occasionally in isolated incidences and videos. I guess during all this time, she probably thought she successfully scared me into not talking about her ever again. Okay, honey. I remember when this was kind of unfolding. I was talking, I guess it was after it was mostly unfolded. it was getting ironed out. But I remember I was talking to my lawyer about this, and I remember asking her, like, is there a reason that I'd have to wait for anything? Like, do I have to wait until the statute of limitation comes and goes? My lawyer actually said no. I mean, you can make whatever content whenever you want. So at first I was going to make this video like that summer, but I actually changed my mind and decided to wait, because I also thought it would be best to let my emotions kind of subside and calm down. But also because I wanted to wait and see if Melissa was actually going to sue me. Because my train of thought for this whole thing was, if this is a true and genuine threat, then she's going to follow through with it. But she never did. To me, the fact that she never filed the formal lawsuit against me is a kind of a clear indication that this was just a threat to try and scare me into silence. And I think she probably also expected that I would get the letter and be like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And then I'd just like take my videos down, and then that would be the end of that. But it wasn't. Okay, Alpha's in here mouth breathing now because my husband just got back to the house. Alpha. Okay, so sorry if you hear mouth breathing. We actually have to go, so I have to hurry up and finish this. Okay, anyway, so I have two major personal theories about this situation. Theory one, she was never going to sue me, and this was 100% just a intimidation tactic and a scare tactic to scare me into taking down my content and not talking about her ever again. Or theory two, she was planning on suing me, but then later found out that it wasn't going to be as easy as she thought it was going to be, so she just decided to cut her losses and just let it go. Now, why wouldn't it be as easy as she thought it was going to be? So now we have to chat a little bit about some vital information about Texas law. Obviously, I will probably never know for sure why Melissa McAllister never filed a formal lawsuit against me over this stuff. Doesn't mean she can't sue me over something else. Maybe she doesn't like my space buns. I like my space buns. But based on everything I know and all of the information that I have, I can speculate, so that's what I'm gonna do. So Texas, where both myself and Melissa live, is a state that has laws in place to protect people's First Amendment right to free speech. These laws are called anti-SLAPP laws. SLAPP, S-L-A-P-P, is an acronym for a strategic lawsuit against public participation. From the website texaslawhelp.org, SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. The name describes a lawsuit filed to stop a person or group from speaking out. The lawsuit can be filed by the plaintiff on different reasons, like libel or tortious interference. But the point of a SLAPP suit is to silence the defendant regardless of whether the lawsuit has merit. In Texas, the law that protects people from SLAPP lawsuits is called the Texas Citizens Participation Act, TCPA, found in Chapter 27 of the Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code. The TCPA protects your First Amendment rights such as free speech, your right to petition, ask the government for help, and your right of association. It is referred to as the anti-SLAPP law. All of the legal professionals that I spoke to here in Texas said that they believe that my case is a classic SLAPP case, and there is a strong likelihood, not definitive, but there is a strong likelihood that my content and my speech would likely be protected under these guidelines. So, is Melissa allowed to file a formal lawsuit against me? Yeah. In the words of my mom all the time, you can sue a turkey sandwich. That doesn't mean it's gonna go anywhere, but you're still allowed to sue the sandwich. Maybe the sandwich looked at you funny. I don't know. So in my position, if I were to have a formal lawsuit filed against me for the content that I just told you guys about, my videos, it would most likely be difficult to come out successfully and win. Defamation lawsuits are difficult, based on my research and study. Defamation lawsuits are already kind of difficult to win, especially if you're a public figure. But there's even more challenges presented if you live in a state where anti-SLAPP laws are present. On top of that, whenever a SLAPP case is dismissed, the person doing or trying to do the suing, I should say, will probably lose a lot of money, because not only would they have to pay all their legal stuff, they'd have to pay the person that they're threatening to sue, they'd have to pay their legal fees too, at least. Also, the reason that I said at least is because in a SLAPP case, such as accusing someone of defaming your character, if the case were dismissed, which would actually happen if the defendant, which would be me in this situation, files what's called an anti-SLAPP motion to dismiss. If the plaintiff's threats are deemed to be a SLAPP case and is dismissed, then the plaintiff, in this situation, Melissa, would have to pay not only their own legal fees, but all of the defendant's legal fees, and maybe order to pay something called sanctions. Sanctions are, in short, just more money that the plaintiff would have to pay to the defendant, I believe. The purpose of sanctions would be to basically discourage the plaintiff from attempting to file another frivolous suit and wasting everyone's time again. Sanctions are not always required. It really depends on like the judge and the situation. That information is important to the conversation, but I think I just didn't say it in the video because I was getting tired of talking. FYI, I probably don't have to say this, but I will anyway. None of this should be taken as legal advice. I'm just sharing information that is pertinent and relevant to my own situation. And I also want to remind everyone that these laws and regulations are specific to the state of Texas. If you are ever served with a cease and desist from a pissed off beach body coach, my recommendation is that you seek the proper legal counsel for your situation and for your state, because your situation is probably different than mine. All of my sources for everything are on screen, and I will also link sources below if you are interested in learning more. I imagine that her lawyer probably explained all this to her and kind of helped her in making the best decision for her, which very well may have been. I don't know. I wasn't there. It might be best for you if you just drop this and move the fuck on. Once again, the content in question remains up to this day. I never had a formal defamation lawsuit filed against me, and the statute of limitations has expired for this content, so she can no longer sue me for this content. So there it is, you guys. You guys have heard me talk about it for months. Elite Beachbody consultant Melissa McAllister made legal threats against me and tried to get me to take my content down. I used my resources and fought back and refused to concede. Once again, to this day, all of the content that was specified in that cease and desist remains up on my channel, except the Instagram story, obviously. And hey, let's be a little bit petty and link both of those videos below. They were both published before, like when I was still gaining more traction and I had a fraction of the followers that I have now. So they didn't have the same engagement that I'm getting now these days on my videos. So if you're a newer subscriber, you probably haven't seen them. Yeah, let's get the views up on this. As far as my message to Melissa, I think I already made it clear when I refused to accept defeat when she threatened my First Amendment right to free speech. In her fantasy world, where no one is allowed to say anything critical or negative about her, she probably thought I would get the letters, get scared, take my content down, and never talk about her ever again for fear of legal repercussions. She probably didn't expect me to get a lawyer. She probably wasn't expecting that I had family who believe in my cause and who encouraged me to stand my ground. She probably wasn't expecting all those things. Maybe next time don't make assumptions about what people have. And to all the people who are about to say to me, well, how would you like it if somebody talked about you and blah, 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 blah? Save it, please. If Melissa or anyone wants to take my content and commentate on it or criticize me, they're allowed to do that. Why? Because it's your right. I don't care. And if you don't believe me, try me, bitch. If someone did to me what I do with my content, could I do something about it? Yeah, but I'm confident in myself and I believe in my cause and I believe in my content. Unless you are like harassing me, threatening me, my life or my well-being, I really probably wouldn't worry about it. I probably respond to it and like laugh about it, or respond to it like sarcastically and laugh about it. But I wouldn't go to these lengths. When I made the choice to put myself on social media, I knew that I was opening myself up to criticism, hate, even bullying, harassment. That's just what you get. That's social media. But I knew I could handle it. Social media is optional. It's a choice. It's not a requirement. You don't have to be here. When you make the choice to put yourself on social media, you are also, in my opinion anyway, actively making the choice to be criticized. If you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. Especially if you're a public figure. In my opinion, the fact that Melissa went to these lengths to try and silence me demonstrates a few things about her character. I feel like this is a very insecure thing to do. If you genuinely believe in yourself and your content, why do you care what other people think? Like my defamatory statement about her not having any professional credentials. She doesn't. Not a registered dietitian. You're not a certified nutrition specialist. You're not a medical doctor. She doesn't even have a degree, which I'm not shaming her for that. You don't have to go to college. There's nothing wrong with that. I say that all the time. You don't have to go to college if you don't want to. And there's nothing wrong with discontinuing if you feel like it's not right for you. But I'm just stating that as a fact. She doesn't. She has a lot of seemingly random certifications from a lot of strange sounding organizations, in my opinion, and none of them are recognized as qualifications to call oneself a nutrition or healthcare professional. For example, this is just me throwing one out there. One of her certifications, or like certificates that she has, is from Lumen, which is a company that I'm pretty sure she has a partnership with. So, you know, probably a little bit of bias there. Most physicians, I mean, I've met some, but most physicians don't need to be stroked and called doctor all the time. This reminds me of, this is just a sidebar. When I was an undergrad, I took anatomy, and my professor for that anatomy class was actually a chiropractor. He was such a cool guy. He was really down to earth. He was a cool guy, but he had this hang up where you had to call him doctor. And he wasn't a medical doctor. I don't believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I don't believe he had a doctorate degree. But you had to call him doctor because he was a chiropractor. And like, if you called him Mr., he wasn't a dick about it, but he would be like, what? And then you'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, doctor, whatever. It's just funny because I've had other professors before who actually hold doctorate degrees. For example, I had in one of my chemistry classes that I had to take, she had a PhD in chemistry. And when she introduced herself to the class, she was like, you guys can call me doctor, or you can call me Miss, her last name. And she was like, you guys can call me by my first name too, I don't care. It's just funny that like he did not hold a doctorate degree that I can recall, but he like was really adamant. You had to call him doctor. Like, God, tell me you're insecure without telling me you're insecure. So let me finish this up because I gotta go. I spent a lot of time being really annoyed at this entire situation, but my mom made a really good point. After all of this had kind of, I don't want to say boiled over, but I guess kind of simmered down, she said, don't think about this situation as a waste of time. Let this situation serve as a lesson for you to help you improve your content and to help you understand and know your rights better going forward. And I thought about it, and this situation really did. I feel like I'm a better content creator now because of it. I now have a point of contact, a legal professional who works in this area that I can refer to if I have any questions. And it's really great to have a point of contact if I want to ask her like a question or ask her to look at a video or something like that. I have that resource now because of this situation. If you are a content creator and you are watching this, let this serve as an example for you. Know your rights and your privileges as a content creator in whatever state you live in, because every state's laws are different. I'm in Texas, so the legal things that I was talking about refer to Texas law. Stand your ground and own your shit. So what do I do with this letter? It's been well over a year and I still have it. My husband, he asked me if I wanted to burn it, and I was like, nah, I don't think I want to get rid of it. I've been holding on to it this whole time because I haven't really known exactly what I want to do with it. You know, I don't want to be petty. I really don't. I'm not a vindictive person, but I did kind of want to find a way to like, I don't know, commemorate it in some way. Not that it's like cool or like a badge of honor, because I don't think it is, but it was just a really pivotal experience, I think, in my career job as a content creator. I don't want to do anything that's super like obnoxious or petty. You know what I'm saying? Because that is just not the kind of person that I am. Well, what a doozy. I have been waiting months to make this video. It feels a little bit surreal that I'm actually sitting down and making it, but yeah, here we are. I did it and it's done. So yeah, I gotta go now. My husband's waiting for me. If you made it to the end of this video, comment, slap. If this is the first video of mine that you're ever watching, this is not my usual content at all. This was a very, very special type of video. I feel like I need a spa day after filming this. Thank you so very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the love and support, just all the time, everywhere. Thanks, guys. You guys are aces. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Why not subscribe? Go watch those 2 videos that are linked below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. As a reminder, this video was filmed way back in June, and my next video will probably not be for a couple weeks because this video is getting released just as I am moving from Texas. As I've said it before, my husband is active duty military and we have yet another PCS upon us, so we're finally heading out of Texas. I guess you could say this video is me going out with a bang. So as far as when my next video is going to be out, it'll probably be a couple weeks, but just FYI. This video was filmed back in June. For the next month, I'm going to be in the throes of moving into a new house and just all the things that come with moving with the military. So yeah, just as a reminder. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Hey, baby. All right, you need to hurry up and say bye because we got to go. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We gotta hurry up and go. Ace is gonna be like, why are you filming the dogs? We have to leave. I have to film the dogs now or else you guys will riot. Isn't that right, baby? Isn't that right, you little wiggle butt? Ilfa. You wanna say bye? Say bye. Bye, baby. Bye, baby doll.